When it comes to service body organization, there are a few names as well known as CTECH. They're the premium option, and they create custom solutions for nearly every service body out there. The service body drawers they manufacture are made out of aluminum, and they're lightweight while remaining extremely durable. There are a few steps needed when ordering these custom drawers just to make sure everything goes smoothly. We're going to show you a couple of tips and tricks. That way you can make sure that you get the right setup the first time. As we know, service bodies can be equipped with a single rear wheel like this truck, or they can come in a dual rear wheel setup. Now, on this truck, being that it's a single rear wheel, we have a notch inside this compartment that we have to contend with, so you're going to want to make sure that you measure that. It's important to keep an eye out for things like the back of latches, pins, and door springs when you're measuring for these, because they're very easy to overlook, and if you do, it's definitely going to mess up the fitment on these CTECH drawers. All right, we're going to start by measuring the width on this unit, and in order to do that, you're going to want to measure the front face, which is this seam right here that goes all the way around this compartment. What's important to do when measuring width is to account for items like this pin sticking out on this right side of the compartment, and that pin goes to about 21 3/4 inches. Just for a margin of safety, we're going to take it all the way down to 21 inches. So when you're ordering these, that's the recommendation, is to add a little bit of extra space right there just to ensure that there's some margin of safety. All right, so because these drawer units are going into a recessed compartment, we're going to actually have to measure the height from the top of this face to the floor inside of this compartment. So we'll do that now. It's right at 2 3/4 inches approximately. So we're going to jot that down. That's going to be our riser height. All right, so the next measurement that we're going to want to take is the height. And once again, that's going to be measured from these face portions of the compartment, not the interior dimensions. It's important that you also account for things like this pin, which is the lowest point on this whole setup. We found it's easy if you kind of close that door a little bit, and you can put the tape measure in there and get a better idea of where this pin is actually going to land once it's in its closed position. So when we measured the compartment height on this one, including this pin, we were at about a 31 3/4 height. And so for the safety margin on this, we'd recommend a 31 inch. All right, so the next measurement that we're going to take on this compartment is going to be depth. And in order to do that, we're going to have to take into consideration protrusions like this door latch right here. So in our case, this is about 1.5 inches of protrusion, which we're going to subtract from the overall depth here in a second. Depth on this unit from the back of this wall to the back face of this ridge right here is right at 12.5 inches. So if we take our 1.5 inches off, that leaves us at 11 inches, and then we're going to add another 1/2 inch just for clearance. So in this case, we've got a 10.5 inch depth. All right, so another note on depth here. An issue that we've seen in the past is with some service body doors, the handle, instead of being placed at the outermost edge like this, can be more towards the center or even the inside, and that can pose a little bit of a problem when you go to pull the drawers out. So in our case, it's not an issue, but if you have a door assembly that's a little bit closer, then you may want to consider that when you're measuring for your drawers. That way they can get full extension. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, this service body is on a single rear wheel truck, and because of that, we have this notch in this compartment that we're going to have to measure for as well. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. And taking a simple height measurement right here, looks like right at 12 3/4 inches. And then we've got a depth of 4 inches. If you're going to be outfitting your service body with CTECH drawer units in all of the compartments, including horizontal ones like these, the same measuring requirements apply here. So obstructions like these chains, back of the door handle, this pin, these rails, all need to be considered if you want the right fitment for your truck. All right, that wraps up our video on measuring today. I hope it was helpful for you guys. If y'all have any questions or concerns when you're measuring for your custom CTECH setup, feel free to give our team a call. They've done a ton of these, and they're really educated on making sure that you get the perfect fit every time. If you have any questions on how to actually install a CTECH drawer unit, make sure you check out our video on that. It's linked in the description below. Make sure you also subscribe to the channel for more truck content coming soon. This is Michael with Elite Truck. We'll see you next time.